I just want to share with everyone my recent experience doing the Vipassana meditation. So the beginning of October, for 10 days, I went to a meditation center, specifically the one in southeast Georgia, in the city called Jessup. There's a meditation center down there that's called the Southeast Vipassana Dhamma Meditation. And for 10 days, it was a very strict, disciplined course that we took. There was probably around 80 students, maybe a little less. And I have to say that it was very, very, very powerful. It has shifted me completely from the past Myra that I used to be to what I am now. And I definitely want to share it with others so that you guys can have an experience within your own lives, the drastic difference and the importance of meditation. And Vipassana is a certain style, is just a technique that is that helps you go inside your internal world and yourself, your mind and body. That can give you a deeper understanding of what you are, and who you are, and just, you can go really deep. But I think the biggest thing is that Vipassana, which means the way things are, it allows you to just shut out the entire world, because this course, the 10-day course, some of the code of conduct disciplines that you had to follow, otherwise you couldn't be there, one is that you had to take a vow of silence for 10 days. You couldn't speak at all. You also had to you couldn't speak with other students. You also couldn't do any loud actions or external actions, like there was no writing. You couldn't write. You couldn't write in your journal. You couldn't read, and you couldn't speak, and you couldn't you couldn't observe other students, or give eye contact to other students, and you had to stay away from killing of any form, or what's the other one? Obviously no sexual activity or things like that. And the reason why they do this is because they want you to go internal. So it gives you, everything is just, those things are very distracting, and it doesn't allow you to focus your awareness inward within yourself and to do some self-observation. So, which made a lot of sense. And coming from who I am, and how how the things that I've been interested in my entire life, these things were very natural for me. So I felt very seen and very supported in this type of environment. I can't believe it's taken me this long to actually do a meditation course. Part of me feels like I must have been a nun or a monk in many previous lives, because I really love this style of, excuse me, I'm just sometimes, I really love this style of life. Excuse me. Anyways, I really want to share this with the world, because I do feel that meditation is such a strong and powerful technique to help eliminate the suffering and the misery that we humans are going through. One of the things that or the sayings that goes is that when a human being is born, they're born straight into misery, and that is very true for all of us. The other thing that's very powerful that I learned, and all of this was just like a technique, they just showed me how to breathe and center my attention and breathe deeply, and then go into my body and mind and observe it. And so I was already in the right track with all of my previous knowledge that I had before. But then when I took this in a course setting with other students taught by other teachers who have been doing Vipassana or meditating for numerous of years, it just clicked. On the first day, it just clicked, and then my mind opened up entirely. My self-observation opened up tremendously, to the point where I was like, how did I miss this? I was so close. But the biggest thing that I learned is the depth of the mind and body connection, and that is that, how they say that we create our own reality, like the host says, like, oh, you create your own reality, and so forth. And I always understood that intellectually, but I always had a few hard time, like, really bringing it in, because there were times where I'm just like, well, I had all these other questions, like, well, how, or what this, or what that, but they, and then this and that kept my mind in a very trickery kind of stage of asking more questions and stuff like that. But in this sitting during my meditation, and then also through the beautiful words of S.N. Goenka, which, he is taught. So here, Vipassana meditation is taught by S.N. Goenka. Excuse me. Yeah, taught by S.N. Goenka in the tradition of Sayagyi U Ba Khin. This lineage right here is very pure lineage. That's the reason why it's very strict, and it was brought down from the Buddha himself, Gautama, and there are other types of meditation, but this one in particular is so simple and it makes complete sense. And this is how Gautama Buddha became enlightened, and basically what that means is that he left the reincarnation wheel and didn't have to come back to earth and reincarnate and have to do this chaos down here all over again. And what is happening is that, it showed me so much, like my own self showed me a lot about the body and the depthness of it. And one of the biggest things that Goenka had said is that, which makes complete sense, is that the madness of the mental illness that the world has, that we human beings have, because we do create our own reality. And the biggest way in understanding that is that your words do have an impact, because we are all just energy, we are all vibration, and our body is all energy and vibration, and so is the mind. And words create your reality, because they bounce out, they come out of you and then they bounce back, and then the body senses it, and the sensations in your body is what's creating your reality. So, there is the surface aspect of it, but this technique helps you go deeper into the body. It helps you go subtler into subtler into subtler into subtler spaces. And the way Gautama the Buddha did it is that he found out this technique and understood the vibration in the body, and learned to purify his mind. So by purifying his mind, he was able to control the mind and control the body and go into the deeper aspects, where when he became enlightened, he just saw vibrations. So within himself, it was a vibration coming and going. And in a sense, I was able to see that within my body as well, because of the things that I had already been learning and the knowledge I have. It's so powerful. And with that, in the first 2 days, I was also able to see that it just, what my own essence showed me, that Goenka was correct, that we all have a deep mental illness, and that we're all walking around very ignorant and full of suffering and misery, because we're creating it within ourselves by every negative word that comes out of our mouths, projected outwards, like let's say to other people, or when you get angry, or when you're sad, and also through patterns and cycles. And even if you're like overexcited and happy, or in those ways, because the body, in order for us to, because the body is listening, our body listens to everything that we say. And it's a part of the subconscious, right? And here I thought that the subconscious was just in our minds and in the creativity of our imagination, going deeper into past lives and stuff like that. And I neglected to see, and it's true, those things are true, very intellectualized, but I neglected to see that the subconscious is also in our body, in our skin, and the deeper layers of that. And that is how we create our reality. So what really comes down to is that everything that you see outside of you, the external world, is not real. None of it is real. It's all happening inside of your mind. And you are creating it. And if you ever think about like how many times do you close your eyes and like shut everything out and go within and just observe what's happening inside of you? Not that much. If you're being really, really honest with yourself, you haven't. And that in itself is the source of our suffering and misery, or why we don't get the things that we want, or why when we try to manifest, things don't come quicker to us, or, even if you're not being negative, like you're still not practicing morality. The biggest thing that I also learned that I had forgotten, because I was born knowing that I have a lot of purity, and purity is such a beautiful thing. And but then the world taught me others, and I had to like learn how to protect myself. And then I also I really got into spirituality, but it was pushed through like the New Age movement. And I have to say, I'm so sorry to say it in this way, but the New Age movement is hurting us so terribly, so terribly, because the mind will believe anything that you feed it, negative or positive, and it includes illusions, delusions. One of the biggest thing that Goenka kept saying in the beginning was that, when we're going to meditate, I'm going to teach you how to bring your focus to one point attention, and learn how to breathe. And through that, in order for us to like get a hold of the mind and bring it back and make it focus and train the mind, we have to take out everything else. So his thing was, we're not doing any mudras. There's no hand movements. There's no mudras. There's no imagination and no gods to worship. No, rituals or any none of that stuff. He just said, take it all away. Don't focus on any of that stuff. No mind, no imagination, no gods, no rituals. You're just going to sit there and learn how to breathe. Bring it back to the basics. And you have to close your eyes, right? And you have to stay inner focus. And that was so powerful, because when he said no imagination, it just clicked in me. And it worked. And then from there, like, he teaches you how to sense your body, because in the end, what is happening is like our addictions and that we have in the external world isn't the fact that you are addicted to these things. Like, for example, me, I had a huge issue with alcohol where I just couldn't stop. And, we can write a whole novel and a book about, the reasons why, and, how bad it is, and how much, it's out in the world, and, people make so much money off of it, and it's just so there for all of us. But the real issue, like, we can write a book about that, but that's just, a story that we can continue to go, and it's never going to change. Real change is understanding the reason why I was addicted, and that was because I had a craving, and I taught my body to crave for the sensation that my body felt when I consumed alcohol. And that sensation was, and it can be very different for everyone, but I guess for me was to check out, or to numb pain, or to numb being tired, or to numb the external world, or to let loose and have fun. But it was still a sensation, and that was the only reason why I was craving it. Because in the end, when I would come home, I knew that it was bad for me, and I would get really sick from it, and I would have these like, just the next day my body would have like the worst hangovers, and I knew that it wasn't bad for me, and I would promise and swear all the time that I would stop and I would never do it again. And yet it happened again and again for many years, for like 30 something years. And I really wanted to end that. And the first day in this meditation course that I took, it sobered me up so quick that that's it. It's like I knew instantly that I'm like, oh, I'm sober now. Like, I don't have these addictions, because it was the sensations that I was training my body. And so my body, now that I've started a different training within my body and meditating more, I'm teaching my body more healthier and positive ways to live a proper life. So this meditation I encourage everyone to take, because not only does it help you lead a proper life, it also gives you an opportunity to escape. No, I shouldn't say the word escape. It gives you an opportunity to understand what you are, who you are, and how you can liberate yourself from the wheel of samsara, which means from the wheel of coming back to this earth and doing it all over again. This is what Buddha taught, the real Buddha. And also I have to say that what I learned from this and Gautama himself was that he said that there are many Buddhas. There are many Buddhas who came and went. He wasn't the only one. Gautama was not the only one. And Buddha is not a god. Buddha is not a saint or someone. He was saintly, but he was only saintly because he truly taught morality, love, and compassion, and to be a good human being. And because he taught to always speak in love and compassion, and to not hurt anyone with your words and with your actions. And that transcended him. That was, he learned to purify his mind. Purifying his mind allowed him to only bring in the frequency of love, like real love on deep layers. And this technique also teaches you in the beginning how to shift. So it teaches you where your what's it called when they say sankudas, is what it's called. Sankudas are like these gross feelings of pain and heaviness and just pain, basically all different types of pain that makes us feel heavy within our bodies. He taught that, things come and go. So the biggest thing that I learned when I learned how to stay focused is that there's law, and this law is called the law of impermanence, which means that everything is always changing. Nothing will ever stay the same. Change. And in this law of impermanence, as above, which is out in the universe and in the earth, so is below, which means inside of our bodies and in our minds. And when you start doing Vipassana and you increase it, you can heal anything inside of you, because it's all in the mind. So you can heal all types of pains. You can heal past pains. Physical pains, emotional pains. What else? Oh, there are all kinds of pains that you can think of, so you'll never have to go to a doctor again. You'll never have to go and waste your money on the external world when everything is inside of you. And I can attest to this because that's exactly what my own essence taught me, or showed me when I was in meditation. I was, wherever I was having pain, I had a lot of pain on my left side, on my foot and my ankle, and then on my shoulder, and then back here, and then in my head and stuff like that. And the technique shows you how to just observe it. All you're doing is observe it. You're not identifying with it. And even though it's there, you're like, okay, it's there, observe, and then you go back to sensing the body and your breath, and then you just stay in those two things, and then keep understanding and knowing that the law of impermanence, which means that things will consistently change. It will change. It will leave. It will go. And eventually it did. And that is so powerful. And put a big smile on my face and made me really happy. So within those 10 days, I cured myself. Like, like I'm not unhappy anymore. I have, I have a lot of love and compassion for everyone, because I truly understand the difficultiness of getting caught up in our minds and allowing the mental, so much electricity that comes out of our minds to just overrule and become the boss of who we are. And it's not. Even if the same, even with like the soul and the mind, like they're not separate. It's the same thing. It's the entire union of it. Once you control, like, get a hold of your mind and start controlling it and putting it and feeding it positive and, sticking with morality and keeping with your words, you will begin to train, and within time and with patience, it will start to shift. So what I'm saying, like, this is just a little bit, I'm gonna talk about it more, because I do have, I also found, it realigned me with my purpose in life, and which I always knew that this was about, or that this was what I wanted to do. I just didn't know how, and I didn't want to lead people, lead humans in the wrong direction, in the wrong path. So I always just kind of like stayed and healed a lot of things within myself first before I wanted to really speak out. And now that I'm in deep meditation, like, I'm very careful with my words and what comes out of my mouth, and I'm also very careful with my actions. I was in the past, but I am more now, because I just, I'd forgotten, and I'm so grateful and so happy for this wonderful lineage to come through, and plant a seed within me. And the most beautiful thing is that when you start doing this, and you're doing something very benefiting for the depths of your soul, that even if you don't get to, leave the reincarnation cycle, which this is true, like, no matter whatever belief system you have, even if you're agnostic or an atheist, it's all in your mind. And if you let go, and if you don't feel your body, and you don't understand what your body is and the depthness and the power of it, you're coming back. When you pass away, when you die and you go to the afterlife, it's just going to bring you back into the wheel, back to here, because you have not learned your lessons. And what are those lessons? That you are a powerful being, that you are creating this, and you are creating everything that's being put out into the external world. And if you have not learned those lessons, and you don't want to sit down and go within yourself, then you're going to come back, and you're going to keep repeating the same thing over and over and over, through cycles and patterns, and through many lifetimes, until you get it, until you get tired of it, until you get exhausted of it, and you're like, okay, there has to be another way. What is it? This. And then, I had asked my teacher, how would I know if I don't get enlightened in this lifetime? How would I know that how would I know that I'm going to remember Vipassana and Dhamma in my next life? And she said that there's a thing that's called, I believe it's called Priya or something like that. It's like, oh, well, because the Priya seed is planted in you, and now that you have it, you will remember, and you will wake up to it. And honestly, I wish I would have learned this when I was 7 or 12, because when I was in my meditation, I just realized that so much time was wasted in understanding my own self and what's really happening in the body. And I had these amazing experiences during my meditation, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I went to school and studied bodywork therapy and Chinese medicine, and then I had this amazing like awareness sight that came to me during my meditation, where like and I was just sitting there breathing and feeling my body. It showed like I was able to see my bones. I was able to see all of the meridian channels that were passing through me. That's a part of the human body. I was able to see like a lot of the energetic points in my meridians. Like it was pretty amazing and powerful, and like and I mean, that was like, okay, that's a deeper aspect of it, and so I'm happy and grateful that in a past life I was trying to do the same thing, and it brought me to finally do Vipassana, and it brought me back to the seed that Gautama Buddha did plant for all of us, left behind for all of us to understand. So I'm just going to leave it at that right now, because I want to talk about it even more. What I was going to say is that I've always wanted to be a teacher and teach people about just, like what goes on in the inner world, in your mind and your body, and how powerful they are, and how to understand and how to help people navigate and guide them in those aspects of it. So I'm still wanting to do that, and I think that this meditation has really given me a really big push to be like, okay, because what I also ultimately understood in my sitting was that I came down here to this earth to help humanity end the suffering and misery that humans go through. That is my purpose, to help end the suffering and misery of all humans. And so I will continue. I will do that. And I know that I've been doing that already in my life, but this is a different, more beautiful way. And the last thing that I want to add is that, morality is such a powerful thing. What is morality? Morality means that you act in loving and compassionate ways, that everything that comes out of your mouth, even like during like road traffic, you don't cuss, you don't swear, you don't lie, you don't steal, you don't kill, you don't do all these. Also, you don't have cravings, you don't have passions, you don't have aversions, you don't have anger, you don't react to the outside world. Another thing that Vipassana taught, which is the really big, is that you don't react. Like it teaches you how not to react and to understand why you're not reacting. And the reason why you're not reacting is because, I'll whisper it, your body is really listening in the depthness. And every time you react and your body has a sensation, it just brings it back to you. So means, like your subconscious doesn't know what's real from what's fake, right? Because it takes in everything as real. So that means that you're just attracting all this negative back to you, and then it builds up in the body, because the body, I'm not talking about like the head, right? Well, I mean, the body, that's part of the body too, but like your whole body stores everything, that you've ever experienced in this lifetime, and then also in other lifetimes. And it can be fearful if you don't come with the right angle, but it doesn't have to be fearful. It doesn't have to be scary. It can be very loving, because then because it can change. That's why, because there is a way out. And the biggest thing is that no one is coming to save you. Like, you have to put in the work. Salvation must be done through your own self, because nobody is inside of you but you. And the New Age movement, with all these aliens and all these type of mental stimulation that is going on in our minds, like, it's all being created by your imagination, is what I'm saying. So once you start closing that up, just put it away for a little while and just observe yourself, and you'll see that you'll begin to see it and understand it. So the other thing that I wanted to say too is just that, whatever it is that you're doing right now in your life, try to stop and just don't speak any more negative words to anyone, especially swearing words, and one thing that I did a lot that kept happening over again for me was that I didn't know how to let go of my grief when things hurt me in the past, or I had a lot of childhood trauma as a child, and even though I had healed so much of it, there was still that cycle pattern in within me that couldn't let it go. And the scariest part was oh my God, I'm doing this to myself, right? And but I think what happened was that I got to the point where my mind just broke, I was just so full with I was just so over it, I had this whole my mind is broken. I felt it was just we're all mental, and there's this illness and it is an illness, and we're all mental, and it's not okay, but we can come out of it. And I think the biggest thing to do that is to, once I found out the depthness that my body was listening to my words because they're vibrational frequencies, I stopped talking. And then I started observing. And then that is the power, when my mind just showed me how it was happening. And I began to cry out of the tenderness of how ignorant I was, and how I was hurting myself and hurting others as well. And that humbled me really fast. And even though I never meant and didn't have ill intent in those ways, it was still occurring, and I was still suffering. And honestly, I was over it. I'm tired of suffering. I don't want to suffer anymore. I don't want to be in misery. I want to clear my path. I want to have clarity, and I want to live in the high values of morality and high principles of love and compassion. And that's the other thing, when I came out of my my meditation and went back into the outside world, I was like a brand new baby. Everywhere I went, gas stations where I stopped, grocery stores, everywhere, I was just happy, and everyone around me was smiling at me, and they were kind, and they were considerate, and they were very respectful, and I just sent them back love. and happiness, and with very simple words. And the effects, I saw the effects. Like, it wasn't stressful at all. And everything went well. Even the cars in traffic, everyone was moving perfectly. Like, it was just, I was just like, I was in tender tears of so much like happiness and that I had experienced. So I know that this is very, very real and very true. So I hope that you give it a shot, and you try it for yourself. If anything, meditation is so powerful. Like, we need to close our eyes and go within and shut everything out, shut the entire world out for more than 1 hour. During the 10-day course, we meditated, about 9.3, so like almost 10 hours a day. And for 10 days, that equated to 190 hours. And now I'm still meditating, and I'm very happy that I reached this part, because now I'm just dedicated. Now I'm devoted to the fact that I'd missed this the entire time. Anyways, I'll leave it at that. And I just want to say thank you so much for listening to my story. And I send you a lot of love, all right? May you be happy. May you be love. May you be compassion. And may you be goodwill. And may I share love. May I share my love. May I share my happiness. May I share my compassion. And I share my goodwill. Take care, family out there. If you have any questions, if you want to find out more, I'll put all that information on top of the post. And if you are ready and want to take some time off and do a 10-day course, especially at the Southeast Vipassana Meditation Center in Jessup, Georgia. There are quite a few. There's so many of them all around the world, and there's quite a few of them in the United States. And the one in Georgia is absolutely beautiful. And the best part about all of this, well, it's not the best part, but like the most humbling thing is that they feed you and they house you completely free. It is run by donation base. It's one of the most beautiful things that Goenka wanted. He didn't want to commercialize Vipassana, and he really wanted, and then they show you the technique, and he really wanted you to get the technique and not be stressed out about having to pay or not have enough money. And essentially this is a part of like doing a goodwill. Like the donation, if you want to give some money, you can, but it's not required and you don't have to. And the donation basically just goes to helping other students who are doing the same thing, coming and doing the course and learning meditation. It's very, very powerful. They accept, you do have to apply, but only because they get about 200 applications every time, and they do these meditations throughout the whole year. So they probably have like 2 or 3 a month, depending on 10 days, right? So maybe 2 a month or something like that. Anyways, I'm excited to talk about it because we can help end the suffering of human beings. I don't know about you guys, but that's what I want. I want to see my family members and my friends and the world. I want to see them free of suffering and misery. And the best way to do that is just go back to the basics of what this means. Bye for now.